As I rolled out of bed, I stubbed my toe on one of the dozens of unpacked plastic boxes stacked throughout my apartment. Seeing Megan still sleeping soundly in the tiny, dimly lit room, I suppressed the urge to give voice to the pain and instead just hobbled to the bathroom. Megan was excited about our new adventure, although it was painful to leave behind our church and friends in Birmingham. She didn't enjoy the controversy that constantly swirled around Trump, and therefore around me too, but when asked about it, she'd say, "Very few people get this opportunity, so if we don't take it and try to make a difference, then we can't complain that no one in D.C. is representing our beliefs." We had leased our new apartment without even seeing it. After Googling apartments close to the White House, I had chosen the Woodward building. It looked nice enough in the pictures online, and it had a serviceable gym, killer rooftop view of the city, and, perhaps most important, an outdoor terrace where we could let out our dog, a 10-pound Shih Tzu named Minnie, without having to walk to a nearby park. Unfortunately, the apartment itself was only 687 square feet, roughly the size of the master bedroom suite in our 3,215 square foot home in Alabama. Even worse, it cost more per month than our 15-year mortgage in Birmingham. The cost of living in Washington, D.C. is one of the primary reasons that people who stay there for an extended period of time lose touch with much of the rest of the country. The costs are inflated. The salaries are inflated. The egos are inflated. But everyone carries on like everything is normal. Shaking off the pain in my throbbing toe, I jumped in the shower, threw on a suit, and stepped outside into the quiet, empty streets of downtown Washington. Looking to my left, the low-sitting fog was obscuring my view of the Washington Monument about a half-mile down 15th Street. A block away, I could see that the short strip of Pennsylvania Avenue right in front of the White House was barricaded and still housing the temporary bleachers from which the first family and their guests had watched the inaugural parade the day before. The placid morning stood in stark contrast to the previous day's events. Just 2 blocks away, protesters had smashed the windows of Bank of America and Starbucks and destroyed a rented limousine while chanting, "Not my president." Broken glass still littered nearby Franklin Square, where just hours before police had deployed flashbangs and tear gas to disperse the violent crowds. Slipping on my white Apple earbuds, I began the 0.7-mile walk to the General Services Administration building, the headquarters of the Trump presidential transition. Augustana's 20 years provided the backing track as I walked past Lafayette Square in front of the White House, with the bronze statue of Andrew Jackson tipping his cap while riding his horse in the Battle of New Orleans at its center. The song had long been one of my favorites. No lyrics have better captured the feeling of leaving home to chase a dream. But it took on particular significance for me when I left my wife in Alabama for several months to work on the Trump campaign in Manhattan. Just fall asleep with the TV, darling. I'll be back again. The transition office was quiet when I arrived. Most staff would not get in for another hour. While I didn't have anything particularly pressing on my agenda, I came in early in anxious anticipation of getting cleared into the White House for the first time. My phone buzzed in my pocket, cutting off the music, and I pulled it out to see Sean Spicer on the screen. To that point, my personal experiences with Sean had varied wildly. We had a tortured relationship with the RNC in general, but it was never that bad with Sean in particular. During the campaign, he'd been a prankster in Trump Tower. If you left your computer unlocked and unattended, he'd send emails from your account and giddily await your reaction when you received a confused response from a colleague. He loved doing TV appearances and craved positive reviews from the staff. "How'd I do?" he'd ask after coming back upstairs from a satellite TV hit. Then, just before Election Day, when the polls and pundits were all foreseeing a colossal Clinton victory, word got back to the campaign that Spicer had done off-the-record briefings with reporters, blaming our impending defeat on the campaign while defending the RNC's heroic efforts to keep the Titanic afloat. Things got really crazy during the transition after we won. At first, Jason Miller was slated to be communications director and Spicer was slated to be press secretary. During daily conference calls with members of the press, Spicer was clearly subordinated to Miller in the pecking order, in practice if not in the org chart. But Miller suddenly backed out of the job after his adulterous relationship with a female campaign aide went public. That left Spicer to take on the dual role of both press and communications.